Hey everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We're so glad you are with us, and whether you're here watching, listening, here from the United States or over 100 countries, 1,000 cities across the world. Thank you for being with us. Uh, if you can do us a big favor, give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reach out to 25 of your closest friends or in your group. Send them a group chat and say, hey, you should check out Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We are the hottest podcast and TV show across the planet, second only to, I guess, third now since Dan Bongino's coming back, but then the Joe Rogan Experience. So we're in very good company, and it's only because of you, our loyal viewers, our listeners. Uh, Thank you very much. We send nothing but love to you. And whether you're a believer in God or higher power, or whether or not, we still pray for you every single night because we can never have enough good vibes. We hope for a happy, healthy, prosperous 2026. And let's get rolling with the show. Burnout is a topic that gets a lot of airplay for good reason. We find ourselves minds racing, to-do lists, and seemingly not enough time to do everything, right? There's, day to day, there's 24 hours in a day. We need a portion of that, the rest, to recharge our body. Um, and so when we look at our to-do lists of, okay, what do I have to do? Everything from setting our alarm, right? So we set our alarm, however we do that. Some on our phones, some other ways. Uh, but there's a reason we set our alarm when we set it, because in reality, we want to make sure that whatever we need to be awake for, that we're going to be awake. So we need that alarm. And sometimes with these to-do lists and these competing expectations from literally everybody. Everybody just, I think, just expects uh, things to get done. And we'll get into a pretty good example here. So again, our minds can only process a certain amount of information a day before it's rendered uh, tired. Taking a time out for a period of time, maybe the rest of the night, rest of the day, just all depends. And that can lead to fatigue and tiredness. And I know I've been at different jobs where I would be leaving work because I felt an expectation that I had to stay either longer than my boss or longer than anybody else on my team. And so there's these unwritten rules that sometimes our mind plays these tricks on us. And so there's been times when that's occurred. And then kind of on that drive home, or one of my jobs, it was my walk home, that I live very close to where I was working. I was already dreading going into work the next day because of how I was feeling. I'm like, I don't have energy. Like, yeah, the weather's great. I should be able to go for a swim, work out, uh, and I, I just didn't have the energy. And literally, I would go grab a shower some days after work, and then I'd grab something to eat. And because I wanted to stay longer than my local team, because when sometimes you work with companies, you're on different time zones. And so my main manager was in another country that was, I think, 8 hours away, 7 hours away, or 6 hours ahead, beg your pardon. So by the time I was leaving work, it was late, midnight, 1 a.m. their time. And so that was part of it too, that when I came in the next day, I knew I was going to get bombarded with all the things that my boss, who had pretty much almost a full day, sending assignments and projects my way. And it just wore on me. Uh, I guess I wasn't ready for that type of work. I mean, when it all comes down to it, I was chasing a title, um, not like a championship, but you start out, and I never had an internship. I That's one of the areas I would, if I was able to go back, that I would have liked to have had an internship prior to the workforce, but I didn't. That's okay. Uh, and it just got real hectic. It was not at all really what I expected. And so I was, again, chasing the title, intern, analyst one, analyst two, analyst three, senior analyst, uh, specialist, whatever, these titles, they just go up, and with the thought of like, oh, I'm gonna be paid more money every rung I go up. So every title, every promotion. And so that's what a lot of people, and when I was in the corporate space, that was the thing. It was, I feel like I'm working at a, level, one or two above where I'm at, and I'm not getting noticed, I'm not getting the notoriety, and so uh, it just was difficult, very very difficult for me, for a lot of reasons, because I'd gone through life, and a lot of our loyal listeners and viewers, I'm trying to I've gone trying to prove myself, whether that's in school, whether that's at work, whatever that may be. And so I found myself again chasing titles, and it took me 1,000 miles away from where I grew up. And I basically went from a job that it was pretty pretty easy going, pretty casual. The work wasn't like, I didn't find myself having to work a bunch of extra hours, or to wonder, work with all these different individuals from different time zones, because I was new to me. it was something that I wanted because I took two international business courses, one of my undergrad and one of my graduate. That's what I wanted because I felt like I was going to be able to do, some traveling around the world too by working in a position at a company that again I could do some traveling on the corporate, expense. And that's what this one job I'm referring to. So I left kind of like the easygoing. Yeah, I was upset or frustrated with the pay and that there wasn't a true uh, promotion plan or succession planning. And so I got frustrated because I'm like, I just got my MBA, my master's in business administration. And there are quite a few people that I went to school with for my master's who are getting promotions after finishing their master's. And so there was some of that. And again, I was comparing myself to others. I'm like, well, he's getting this and she's getting this. And here I am. And it's just like, okay. Now, the great majority of the schooling was paid for. So I shouldn't have been as complaining as I was as I look back at things now. Uh, so I went from kind of easygoing to um, chasing titles, chasing money, and all I found myself was uh, pretty much miserable. Pretty much miserable. Um, my wife now, we had just started dating. Might have been within a few months of me taking a job. So of course there was that. I was like, uh, uh, again, I thought I knew all the answers. I thought I knew what was right. And I was away from church and I was away from, the spiritualness and I was just focused on basically a title, more money, and traveling instead of looking at the things that really do matter more as I'm now in my 40s and that is, family and helping people. I didn't know that at the time. If I would have, um, then that would have been awesome. But I didn't, for various reasons. A lot of them it was I I did them myself, and so I was, my own, like that lit song, my own worst enemy. I literally was my own worst enemy, and so I ended up finding myself at this job so I'm away from home. Yeah, I was able to, do FaceTime and that, but it's not the same, being able, the way I had to travel was I had to, if it was a direct flight, which the direct flights usually were better coming back, um, because otherwise, see, when you only have a weekend and you have, let's say, half a day on Friday, and you got to fly 2.5 hours each way, you're trying to maximize, the time where you're going. And that was where I was going to my natural home with my family and it was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And so I usually ended up having to have a layover, a short layover, uh, but nonetheless, because there was basically two airports. One was closer to the family, and the other one was, about 45, 55 minutes. And so coming back, it made, at least in my mind, it made more sense to take a direct flight back. But then going on that Friday, I wanted to cut that time of travel so that when I was picked up, it was like a 10-minute drive home, my girlfriend's house, not my wife, now my wife's uh, parents. And so there's all this planning, all these extra things that were going on. My grandma was not doing well, so there's that added. Excuse me, that added. Yeah, there were times I just sat and cried, and because I wasn't able to see her that much, and I ended up. I knew she wasn't doing very well, and the reason why I remember this so crystal clear is because there was a pretty big world event that it happened. So I was flying back to where I was living, and to the job chasing the title and the money and all that. So I was on my way back. So I flew back. I knew my grandma wasn't doing very well, and I think it was one of my friends at the time, his bachelor party. So I flew to a different airport. So it was in a different state. Uh, what I ended up doing was I flew well, as directly as I could. I had to stop make a stop, or the plane had to make a stop, and then I'd switch planes to get to where the bachelor party was at, and which is in a different city and state from where my grandma was at, and my family and my girlfriend. So my girlfriend at the time, on the way back, like I was still in, that partying lifestyle to an extent. And so she came on that Sunday. So she drove an hour and a half, 2 hours, just to basically spend a couple hours with me and then take me to the airport. Uh, which I look back at myself, it's like such not a good person at those times. So I was on my way back on that Sunday. So I was flying back, and I had just landed after the layover. So I just landed back to where the job was, where I was living at the time. And I was just walking off the plane, and on the screen, uh, TV screens walking through the airport, and we were one of the last planes in. It was when Osama bin Laden, the raid and all that happened. And so that was all on the TVs when we landed. So I was traveling, and so that's how I remember the time. So I was on way back. I saw that on TV, and then I got a call from, I think it was my dad, and basically said that my grandma passed away. So then I think it was like a day. I can't remember. So this was on a Sunday, so I don't remember if I flew back home again, um, for like the services. I don't remember if I flew back on that Monday or that Tuesday. And any event, what am I trying to say here? And what's this have to do with Voices for Voices? Well, it had a lot to do with my mental health, and I didn't know it at the time, or I didn't want to believe it. I was chasing things that, again, some things like I guess come with time. I don't know. All I know is I wish I would have handled things much differently. Uh, Not chase the title and more money and all that because it ended up being more headaches than anything, to be quite frank. Uh, it has nothing against the people I was working with, uh, the the different parts of the world where we had offices and that I'm grateful for that time, and I did learn a great deal. Got a lot of experience. I was able to do a little bit of traveling. I think there was like one trip uh, to the offices where my management was at, and so that was, I mean, that was neat. Uh, but at the end of the day, as I sit here on this episode and look back, and I haven't looked back that far in quite a long time. I've talked about burnout a lot, but I haven't looked back on that specific time. Uh, I think part of the reason why I was starting to have the burnout, even whether it was burnout or I don't even know the right words to say as far as the correct terminology, but it was my first experience with a reduction in force. So let's say the company you work at has 100 people. You come in one day and you leave, and 20 less people are working at the company. So 20 people were said, "Hey, thanks for your time. Today's your last day, and we're going to walk you out to your car." And so that had happened while I was at, the more casual job. And so here I was like, oh my gosh, I started cutting my expenses, which I didn't have very many because I was very grateful to be living at my parents' home, and I was able to save. And uh, man, I it's just hard, it's hard looking back at all that time. So I found out, fast forward, because of the Bin Laden raid and that, found out that my grandma passed away, and that I basically missed an opportunity to see her one last time because I was at this bachelor party, which was in a different city and state, and I now feel like I should have stayed home, my home, like where I was from, at least another day, so I could at least saw my grandma one more time at least. Uh, but it just it wasn't meant to be that aspect, and so that was just very hard. Uh, it was just, as I'm turning back the clock in my mind, bringing back some of those thoughts and memories, and what I try to reason with myself, and like, yeah, Justin, this is what you want. You know, this company isn't gonna, have a promotion schedule for you in the next couple of years. Uh, then if it means that you have to go to a different company, and even if it's over 1,000 miles away, where I knew absolutely no one, I knew zero people. So now, knowing what I do know, that I'm an introvert, uh, if I would have known that at the time, might have made a little bit of a difference in at least a little bit of my thought process because I was thinking like, oh, right, moved to a big city and it ended up being anything but that. I mean, I love the sports and watching them, and not that I needed to get season tickets to the games, but I could have went to a few more games, but I was so stressed day in and day out that there were many coworkers who were like, "Hey, Justin, you want to go to the game?" And I just didn't go because I was just so it was almost just like I was on edge like 24/7. Uh, and it was, oh my gosh, so when I look back at that time in my life, I guess you call those growing pains or whatever the terms are. If I would have known at that time what my what I feel like my calling is, like what I'm doing here on earth, why I'm still here, man, I would have loved to have known that helping others was at that time. But again, I knew better. I thought I knew better, right? It's that whole I'm smarter than everybody else. I was still in that mindset. And man, that was ooh, 10, that's 16, 15, 16 years ago. It's, oh my gosh. And yeah, so I'm just having moment here of like deep reflection. Oh, not even just we what we feel our life's calling is and what we like to do and what we're meant to do. And but even just I I treated people so badly, so badly. And there's I can't go back and change the past. I can look back and maybe help a few of you. Maybe you can pass the message. Not saying not to just 100%. When you're growing up, like you're molding yourself and with different experiences, and I don't know. I don't know how I would have known that helping others was as big of a deal to me, and that mental health and mental illness was that big to me, because at that time I wasn't seeking help for it. So I wouldn't have really started on the bandwagon, I guess, or because I wasn't seeking help, so that part wasn't even there to click for me. And I mean, it's like, everything happens for a reason. Okay. I that's what I used to believe. Now I know that I'm not in control of, I mean, right, I'm in control of my, day to day, but in the bigger sense. I'm not going to live to be 3, 4, 5, 600 years old. That's just, I'm not that power. I don't have that power to do that. So while I might be able to go, oh, well, if I'm still alive, I'll wake up at tomorrow at around this time, and here's what I'll probably eat for breakfast, and to those extents, we have a little more control. But in the bigger scheme of life, we don't. And so I'm happy that I at least got to a part or a point in my life where finding out, helping people and voices for voices, and finally getting help myself, and just going through so much adversity. So much of it is my own doing, my own fault. So much of it. And yeah, there's a lot of pages in the book of my life that I wish I was able to go and rewrite. I'm just not able to do that. I can only just try to do my best to help, get help myself, which I have been, and try my best to be a good parent and spouse. But again, there's a lot that I wish I have been able to change over time, and I haven't. I haven't been able to, close my eyes and say, "Oh, I'm going to go back to this year and this time frame." Like again, I don't have that. I don't have that capability, so I can't do that. And so just putting everything, every ounce of my being, professional wise, into Voices for Voices, the show, the organization, the books, the media, current projects, future projects, God willing, that I at least got to taste what it feels like to find my calling, or why I'm still here on earth. It still to me doesn't explain why so many people so much more talented and than I'll ever be, why people were taken before me. So that's one of the areas that I have to be grateful that I had this opportunity to do this. So when I wake up tomorrow, I'm able to continue on with the mission and the vision, and then the day after that, continue on until God says, "Okay, Justin, this this has been, your time's up." And so in my head, as I think through this, having an opportunity to help people so far away from where I live, where I was born, where I grew up, even so far away geographical from where that job was. I made looking back, I made a very poor decision. But as I sit here today, maybe that's part of what molded me. Maybe that's part of what lent my mental health issues or challenges get to be, ramp them up even further. I don't know. But what I hope this specific episode is that when you're given a chance, or when you feel like you're given a chance, you're doing something that really gets you in the heart. And I know you see me, if you're watching, you see me do it's a, the, uh, you know, uh, show kind of solidarity from my heart to yours, if you're watching or listening. It's because this is where I belong from a geography standpoint, from a family standpoint, even going through all the mental health and then all the mental health challenges that I'm still going through, and I'm still having good days, I'm still having not so good days. But it's when the energy's there, and I try to use the time as wise as I can, put together as many shows as when I said I want to help 3 billion people at least over the course of my lifetime and beyond. I meant it. So that gets me to where I'm at, is doing everything in my being to help. And a high percentage of the help is through my spoken word of events and times in my life where I've made not great decisions. Some have turned out pretty good, others not so much. But I know that I can't, no matter what, I can't, as much as I want to, I can't go back and fix things in the past, said or done. There's so many things up to 2017 and even not past that you know, I regret conversations. I regret a lot of things, even recent things. So it's not like 27 hit and then voila, I'm this person that has seen the light. It's not what I'm saying. There's things again, we all do things that we're happy we did, that we tried, and then there's others that not so much. So if you get anything again out of this show, this specific episode I'm talking about, that when you get to if you get to that point where whatever that is that you're doing, where you really feel it in your heart and in your mind, keep doing it. You know, before big decisions, actually sit down and think. I thought I did that, but there are a lot of times where I haven't, where it was, well, my mind's made up and this is what I want to do. And so I'm going to do it if I'm given the opportunity. And it's so many of those decisions are what I'm saying that if I would have took a step back, I mean, I probably wasn't even mature enough to do that, as well as not buying into the my mental health and my mental illnesses to be diagnosed and see all those things had to have happened before I can come out at least have decent on the other side like I have, because it's much easier said than done. What they say after, a sporting match or a sporting event happens, after the game or the match is over and you're watching film of the game, it's much easier to go, oh, I should have did this and they should have did that. It's much easier to do that then. When you're in the moment, and that's another reason why I wrote the books that I did, my mental health, prescription for living, the House of You, and the workforce prep book, the House of You, five workforce preparation tips for a successful career. Because the more things we think about and we process through our mind the best that we can. Okay. So we have to, divide it up and figure out when and all that. But if we think about what we'll do if event A or B or C or D would happen, then when event C happens, we've already thought through that. And so we've been able to take some of the emotion out of it, which is where I got caught up. I got caught up in the emotion of, oh yeah, I'm gonna move and I'm gonna live in this big city and I'm gonna be making on this extra money and I'm gonna have this title and I'm gonna get to travel and I didn't think it through. I hadn't thought it through. I was thinking it through as it was happening. And while you can't think every single bit of every single opportunity, or not opportunity. If we just think a little bit about what if what if something happens like this? What would I do? So we would at least be a little bit of less, we would have a little, we wouldn't be making those impulse decisions. Like when we go to a store, right? A convenience store, a drugstore, a legal drugstore. And you see at the cash register, there's all kinds of sugar and candy bars and Twizzlers and and none of them are sponsoring our show, so I'm not sharing their names because they're sponsors. They're not. I'm just thinking to myself of those are impulse decisions, right? You're waiting in line and then you're looking and then you're like, oh, well, it's only $1 or whatever your currency is. Uh, and then sometimes we end up buying like five, six, $7 worth of something that we never planned to. It wasn't on the list, but we did it. We bought it. And and so that's how I equate, these big life milestone decisions is to be a little bit less impulsive and a little bit more mature. I'm laughing because I try to be mature. I don't even at my age, and I I'm still a work in progress. I'll always be a work in progress. So if we can be a little less impulsive when it comes to the big decisions, and I'm talking specifically for this episode about the job and getting caught up in the title being higher than what it was at my current job, making more money than my current job, those types of things. That's what I'm getting at. I've made a lot of decisions that I am very happy with. Doesn't mean that everybody is, just means that I'm happy I made, decisions to get married, have a family, and nothing can take any of that away. There can be, I don't know. I'm not in the least bit talking impulsive about that. But thank you for joining us on this show. This has been pretty uh, turning back the clock and then turning it forward. It's been a pretty tough episode because there's a lot that I can do and there's a lot that it's out of my hands. And then there's even more that's out of my hands that God, or for me, God, has the plan, and I'm gonna be here until I'm not. But I'm gonna try to help as many people as humanly possible through as many different forms and formats as possible. So thank you for tuning in. If you can hit that subscribe button, you can give us thumbs up, like, follow, share, reach out to 25, 50, 100 followers in group chat, or make a social media post. Start following Voices for Voices. We're everywhere. We're, yeah. If you want to watch us on this episode and then you decide you're listening, we are everywhere. We are everywhere. And that's because we have a whole lot of helping to do, a whole lot of it. And there's a quite a quite a bit that I need to do. I need to help myself and not be so hard on myself at certain times, but can't really can't really change anything. Can only try, and even that, a lot of it's too late. And so I'll just keep helping people until my time's up. But we're helping a lot of people. Again, we talked about 100 countries, 1,000 cities. Why stop there? We should be able to help 300 countries and 3,000 cities across the world. And with your help, I know we can do it. I know we can do it. I know it. It's free to send those messages. It's free to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do the thumbs up. It's free to send a text message, a group chat, to do a social media post. So please, if you're able to, we'd be greatly thankful for it. So it's been Justin Allen Hayes with Voices for Voices. Let's celebrate all the voices of everybody in the world. And until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need. We'll see you next time. God bless the United States and God bless you all across the world. We love you and we hope you are healthy, happy, prosperous, whatever that looks like to you and your loved ones. Take care. We love you.